right, everyone. Welcome to our weekly workshop, and thank you for being a part of this week. I am fortunate enough to have Dale from CG Cowboy on with us today. Dale is a Unity developer who has been with our community for quite a while.
Quite a while. I know
And
that.
just released last week a game called Angel's Cove, which is a psychological horror game. You can currently grab a copy of it online um, at the link that I'm going to drop into the chat right now, and you can get a quick look at it. But Dale, thank you for being a part of this, and let's have a chat. Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
you coming up with this game and give us a little inspiration. What is uh should we start with Angel's Cove, or do you want let's talk a little bit about you first? Now you got into the game industry and getting into
Sure. Yeah.
let's
No.
start with you, Dale. Tell us
All
a little bit
right.
about yourself.
So Dale Forbes, and yeah, if you've seen me on the in the community, it's CG Cowboy. That's me. I don't like to show my face because we know how people like to make assumptions when they see people's faces. But yeah, I'm the cowboy hat there. So yeah, so I actually I reside just outside of Nashville, in here in Tennessee, in the U.S. But I don't know how many people we have that are outside the U.S. But I've only been here for a couple of years. I don't sound like I'm from Nashville. But yeah, so let's see, where do you want to start?
Well, how did you get into? Because I'm assuming you didn't just jump right into game development. Did you start in programming? Did you start in app development?
Yeah,
Did you start somewhere else, or did you just jump right into Unity?
Yeah, it's been an interesting evolution. I didn't jump into either one of those when you say Unity or even game development. So what happened was I was a software developer by trade. So when I first started my professional career, I was a software developer. Now this was a long time ago. So it wasn't object-oriented programming. It looked nothing like, what we have today, not just a game engine perspective, but we're talking RPG. Now, I guarantee maybe one person on here has heard of RPG, but it's a very sequential linear development language. So I say all that because I'm not even sure how much that helped me in game development once I decided to do that later on. But I have to reveal that I started out as a software developer, and then ultimately got into management and so far. And I still have that day job. This game development stuff is definitely not my day job. I have a pretty demanding job. Today I'm a IT advisor or coach, so I do a lot of talking on the phone. Now, what happened was I actually got hurt a few years ago, and I was just kind of immobile for a while, and I just needed this creative outlet. And so I was trying to just learn computer graphics. My passion with games started with just the awe-inspiring photorealism that people could create right into an environment that you could walk around in. So that got me into Blender of all things. So I started out with Cinema 4D, and then I got into Blender, and I just took off. I mean, it was like I couldn't get enough of learning of how to create these 3D worlds. And it was great. And I started to get pretty comfortable with it and got to where I was pretty happy with the art pieces that I was putting out. And that turned into I did some photo covers for a musician. I actually did some scenes, some VFX scenes in a documentary that I won't tell you about. Very low budget, nothing to go on the resume, but it was good experience. But in the end, I would post these 2D images with Blender, and I would say, okay,
Mhm.
what's next? I mean, it was a bit anticlimactic. I wanted to immerse myself in these. So one of the first things I did was actually open Unreal Engine. And I went through tutorials, and I'm like, I don't get it. This is the learning curve was too much. Now it could have been a timing thing or whatever. And I just put it aside. I couldn't, it just didn't click for me. And so later on I picked up Udemy. I picked up Unity and it just felt better. I was more comfortable with it for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you why. It just the learning curve just didn't seem that much to me. So, all right, this makes sense to me. Let's check out YouTube. So did some tutorials there. I'm like, this is great, but I don't understand what I'm really doing at the end of the day. I can't repeat what I'm doing. And so it got me into the Udemy courses. And now it made more sense. In fact, that's where I found John.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a couple of them. I think one of them was the C# survival guide,
Mm-hmm.
which was insanely good. I'm sure everybody's been through that. So then it became more of, okay, I think I can actually create something here. Then there was a moment after I joined Game Dev HQ, I was watching our buddy Al here. And you did, I'm going to share my screen. I have to do this. Where are we at? I actually put some slides together, but I decided not to give you a presentation. You did the PT hallway.
Oh yeah. Back in the day.
Remember this?
Yes, I do.
This was the moment.
Yeah.
So you had multiple sessions, like you broke it into different parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked and I could not find an image of your session, but this was what we were trying to recreate, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a similar hallway in Angel's Cove.
Mm-hmm.
So same assets, the walls, the floors, the ceiling, that whole house set. And as I started to build that hallway, and I'm like, forget this, I want to turn this into a house, right? And I want to be able to walk around in it. And that was it. It took off. As soon as I had a house, I basically sat back and said, there's a story here. I know I love the psychological horror genre. And I had this story going around in my head. Now, this was, if I'm being honest with myself, this was a huge mistake because I had never published a game before. I hadn't even finished a game before, right? Much less published anything. I did a couple of mobile game prototypes on Android that I never finished, wanted to see what it felt like. That was it. And now here I was coming up with this haunted house type of thing with a full story. And I literally, I'm like laying this thing out, right? So I put this together. This is my workstation here, and this page over here is me taping pieces of paper together that I got off my printer. And okay, here's what happens in the foyer. Here's what happens in the porch, the study, the studio, bedroom, kitchen, etc. And I'm like drawing this out and I'm mapping it out. I'm like, yeah, I think I've got this from A to Z. So let's start coding, right? Yeah. So full disclosure, Game Dev HQ had announced a game jam that was going to end in, I think it was September 2020. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I started this in May of 2020. And I'm like, I've got months. This is a piece of cake. I don't know what I'm going to do with the extra time. Yeah. That's how naive I was going into this process. Mm-hmm. So that didn't happen. I got to August. I got to early September. I'm like, okay, maybe next Halloween, because I'm doing the psychological whole. I wanted to get to Halloween season, right? And sure enough, I launched, and I don't think we were recording at the time. I launched a week ago today, Angel's Cove, and even then, I was pushing it. I wanted to get to the beginning of October. I did it on October, 8th, and even then, I'm like, 11th hour changes, even after beta testing. So 15 months later, it's launched, and as many mistakes as I made, and I would never ever let anybody review my spaghetti code. It's out there, and so far so good.
Nice, awesome. So give us an idea of, all right, what is Angel's Cove? Give me an idea of what it's like.
So Angels Cove, it was important to me to start, and I won't give you all the story, but it was important for me in order for the story to work that there's a little bit of a journey to get to the meat of the story. And what I mean by that, well, how it ultimately manifested was you wreck a boat onto an island. And if you've seen the trailer, if you haven't, please watch the trailer. I'm actually really proud of the trailer. If you haven't seen it, you see that you wreck the boat. You have to find some things, and it starts out as this kind of, oh, I'm gonna find these collectibles, and I'm gonna do some silly things to solve this easy puzzle and move this so I can cross a bridge, and ultimately make your way into the house. And the story's unfolding. You're finding a couple things, a flashlight, stuff like that, and ultimately you make your way into the house. And so at this point, it's a relatively benign, but I have to say, kind of beautiful environment, right? But you're still wondering, what am I doing here? Um, and that quickly changes when you get into the house. And so when you get into the house, you basically are there to do a paranormal investigation.
Nice.
And so one of the things that you're finding, you're collecting your stuff after you wreck on the beach, and you're collecting your cameras back. So there's 3 cameras, and then you set these up in the house, and then the story unfolds as you're looking into what's going on in the cameras.
Cool. How about we pull up a trailer and let's give it a watch and see what.
Yeah.
Hi, Mrs. Moore. This is I think this is the right number, but I had to go from memory since I can't seem to find my notes. I wanted to let you know I should be there tomorrow, probably early evening. They're calling for some weather, so if it gets too choppy, then I'll let you know if I need to reschedule. Either way, I'll get there as soon as I can so we can get to the bottom of these disturbances. I'll have all the equipment I need, so I'll get set up as soon as I get there. All right, I'll see you soon.
All right, so we got Angel's Cove here. That looks pretty damn dope.
Very good.
All right, so we got a paranormal investigation occurring right here. What was your inspiration overall? Was there like a particular movie, a genre that you saw that you're like, dude, this is the story I have to tell? Like where did that come about?
Yeah, there's nothing real specific other than the fact that I love this genre. I love this genre in games. I love the genre in movies. I'm super lucky enough to have a wife who loves this stuff too. So, we love the adrenaline rush, but it's more than so this is a jump scare kind of game. But I think what surprises people so far in the streams that I've watched and some of the feedback is the story that takes place. And to me, that's a big part of it. I didn't want even my first game to be just, I hate to say cheap scares, but just that, like cheap scares, right? Loud music, loud sounds, things coming in front of you. Those things are important. They're critical. But I really love the stories. I love the stories with a twist. And I think I was able to do that here. So yeah.
Nice. So give me an idea timeline wise of like how did you create this? Like was it you built that first room and then you built the house? What elements came into play? How long did that take for you to put together for this game?
Yeah. So excuse me, overall 15 months, despite my initial estimates. It did start with that house, like I was talking about, right? I needed to see it. I needed to be able to put walls up and think about what would happen in this house. And honestly, a lot of it was just kind of sitting back and just processing this, right? Just kind of thinking about what I would want to happen. Now, once I figured that out, it was almost like the block modeling, right, that we try to do in level design. So let me put up some basic structure in a house. Now I'm already thinking I want this to start outside the house. I want them to journey into that through the island. So then, okay, let's figure out how to create a terrain. Now I hadn't done this before, right? So I'm looking for tools in the asset store and the bundle deals and all this stuff, right? On what are the easiest, best, fastest ways to create terrain. So then it was shaping that and then, sticking the house on there. And that would help me again figure out what the story might look like from this part of the journey to this part of the journey and into the house, that kind of thing. From once I kind of modeled that out, the terrain and the house, or the house and the terrain in this case, then I start filling in some of the major pieces of the story itself. Something needs to happen in the lighthouse. Let's put a lighthouse there. You need to find something here. Let's put a building there. Let's put a graveyard there, right? So there's a graveyard at some point. And so it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to finish the house. Now I'm going to finish the island, right? I was constantly coming back and iterating through this the whole time, stopping to say, all right, now I need to find assets for this. Okay, come back. Now I need to go find assets for this. So it was a very agile or iterative approach until all of it was kind of baked together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you mentioned assets, and we kind of talked about it. So you built all these assets yourself, right? And
yeah, right.
You were able to create this because that's what everyone wants to do, is they want to create their own assets for their own.
Yeah,
it was super easy, right?
Yeah, it was a piece of cake, really. It was surprising just how easy it was to create those thousands of assets all by myself. There's a reason Al is laughing here. I went in with that mindset because I had started out as a CG artist, and I was pretty comfortable with it, right? I was comfortable with the tools, and I could visualize what I wanted. I could create it in 3D space, texture it, lighting, everything. So I started doing that, and I'm like, okay, I probably want to finish this in the next 20 years. So maybe I better do something else about getting the assets. There were multiple sources I used. Mm-hmm. It was pretty frustrating for the most part, finding sources outside of Filebase. That was frustrating. There's such a limit. I mean, yeah, there's, Sketchfab and even BlendFab and CG Trader. There are sources out there, but to find the sources that are in your head, like trying to fill the vision that you have for this, in this case, Angel's Cove, was really tough. So of course I did have to stop and put in, create my own assets. Their asset store is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I mean, there's everybody's probably seen, oh my God, what's it called? Flooded Grounds. Mm-hmm. Flooded Grounds is just a treasure trove. In fact, that lighthouse came from Flooded Grounds, but it's a stationary lighthouse. And so you can't go in, there's no door or anything like that. And I think it was blue in the asset pack. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to change it up, right? I didn't want this to be a complete asset flipping game, right? So I changed it up a little bit. And then of course I opened it up. I created a spiral staircase, and you'll see it. That's not a spoiler. And you actually get to go up into the lighthouse and then look over the island and things like that. But that's where Filebase, and I told you, it's going to be hard not to come across as shamelessly plugging Filebase, but oh my God, did it save my butt. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff in there, and it just kept growing. It's like every time I'd go back in there, there's more new stuff. I'm like, oh, why didn't I come in here earlier? I could use this. Mm-hmm. And you'll see it. So for anyone who's using Filebase today, probably even just watching the trailer, but if you play the game, you're going to be like, yeah, I recognize that.
That's awesome. So you got two questions from two people. Anthony asked, We'll do this one first. Do you wish someone would have told you? What do you wish someone would have told you when you first started your game development?
Hmm. Well, there's the stuff that I wish somebody would have told me, and there's the stuff that somebody told me and I ignored. Um, the ignored is the category of don't start with a big project. As happy as I am with this, I should have made a more iterative approach to the size of the projects. But as far as what somebody would have told me, you know what? I would have to go with testing.
Mhm.
I wish, and this is on me, I wish I would have done more research in testing, because this has been really, it's been out there for a week and it's been very well received. Good positive stuff, and I've been able to watch the streamers and have them get scared out of their shorts, and that's been like the best thing ever. But I'm also seeing performance issues,
Mhm.
and I see somebody open the game. I've seen the comments say it's too laggy, and the testing that I went through was maybe about 10 or 12 of us.
Mhm.
Then we collaborated on a Discord server, but I don't know what kind of machines they were using. That's pretty important, right? So it was very difficult for me to gauge the hardware requirements, and that I'm really kicking myself for. And it's the one thing that stresses me out every day now since I've launched. Like, how am I going to optimize these textures? How am I going to go in? And I watched John's thing, all right? I watched the optimization thing with the Unity profiler,
Mhm.
but I'm not seeing coding things in there, right? So anyway, that's a long answer to your question, but the testing, I wish I would have been better at, and I think more experience would have helped me out.
Mhm. I got you. I got you. And then, what's the biggest headache for making game assets?
The
Oh, I'm
time.
sorry. Hold on. Making biggest headache for making a game. Was it the assets or was it the programming?
It has to be the assets for me. And I imagine that might be different for everybody. It's like you and John, right? You're the graphics guy, and John, and I'm labeling you like I'm,
Oh, absolutely.
it's not
You're
fair.
right.
And
No,
then
yeah.
John's the coder, right?
Mhm.
But it's probably different for everybody. I love both. I really do. I love creating the graphics. That's why I got into it. But I really love the coding too. But which one was a pain? That's your question. The graphics was the coding, and that's because it takes so long to create my own.
Mhm.
And if I can't find what I'm looking for, what do you do?
Mhm.
What do you kind of hit a dead end.
Mhm.
The coding stuff, I wasn't good at it. I'm still not great at it. I'm still looking up now, how do I do a lerp? um, how do I do a scriptable object,
Object.
stuff like that, right? Events, how am I creating events, right, for my inventory system? I'm still looking all that up, but the resources are they're out there that you can find your answers.
Mhm.
With the graphics, you can't always find your answers.
That's a great answer. That's a great point. That's a really solid point right there. So, for this game, like, how long of an experience should we expect?
It's about an hour,
Okay.
and that seems to be pretty consistent.
Okay.
If I'm doing a speed run through it, myself, of course, I know where everything is. It takes me about 40 minutes. But if I look at all the statistics, it's taking people usually a little over an hour.
Okay.
We did have somebody in testing that took 2.5 hours to get through this, only because, and I have a picture of her somewhere. She's sitting there with her jacket over her, and she won't go into the next room. She just, and other people are on her stream. Just go. That's not what you should expect. It's not going to take 2.5 hours. It's about an hour.
I tell you, that's the. Oh, I'm much like you. I love building horror games, and that to me is like the biggest payoff is to actually see somebody play your game and wet themselves when they hit that one. And you could actually fast
Oh
forward
yeah.
in the video right to where it's going to happen, and you see that trigger, and you're just dying. You just roll over on your chair laughing yourself to death.
That is so true. And I can't possibly overstate what that feeling is like.
Mhm.
You created that. That's your story. That's your moment. You did the code in there. And to watch somebody just like, and I'm watching these streamers and they're getting up out of their chair. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. And I'm laughing. I'm like, this is the best feeling ever. And that's why as I got closer and I was actually finishing, I was spending more time on Facebook and even on Game Dev HQ and saying, don't stop. It took me so much longer than I expected it to, and probably took longer than it should have. Excuse me. But man, every single one of us needs to experience that. That's why we're doing this. And it's an amazing feeling. It makes all those pains worthwhile.
It makes you want to do it again until you start doing it again. And you're like,
yes. Oh. Yeah. And then you're starting the process like, why did I do this the first time?
So another question that I had for you is, all right, so you've just finished your game. It's up. There's still some testing to do, still some bugs to fix performance wise. Do you have another project planned? Are you going to take a little break away and then do this? What's the next goal?
So I had planned on the next goal, same genre. I mean, I'm just hooked on this genre, right? So I want to do something with a similar experience. I really am strongly considering VR. The couple reasons. One is, I talked about, one of the reasons I got into the game dev is because I wanted the immersive experience. It doesn't get more immersive, right, than VR. That's fantastic. It's still a lot of untapped market out there. I think there's still a lot of opportunity to find good psychological horror games on VR. The other reason is these hardware issues and trying to estimate what the hardware requirements are has been a real struggle for me personally. I don't have that problem with VR. If it works on the Oculus, my Oculus, it's going to work on everybody's Oculus.
True.
So that's motivated me too, if I'm really being honest about it.
Okay. Sweet. So I know Tom's gonna have a question, but I wanted to get to some, well, yeah, actually, let's stick on the Angel's Cove for a little bit longer. All right. So we have a summation of the game. We have a release. We know that it's currently available on Steam right now. If you hop on over to Angel's Cove, I'm going to drop the Steam link in here. If you guys are interested, you can go check it out. I'm interested, so I'm definitely gonna, give it a purchase and play around with this because this is something that I love horror games. I absolutely love and enjoy playing them. So definitely want to check it out. Looks like you got some amazing reviews on here as well. Is there anything else that you would like to add about Angel's Cove that we can know about? Which would be a pretty good indication of what we can expect and why we should go out and take a look at it?
I think if you like horror games, you like the adrenaline rush with some jump scares, but hopefully, a story with a twist. I'd be very open to feedback so that I can apply that going forward. So please don't be shy. Reach out to me.
All right. Okay, let's have some fun questions now, because you're working a lot, you're exhausted. There's so much. Let's do something different. So I like to ask some fun questions to kind of get to know you a little bit more. Trust me, they are not like.
I'm scared.
Yeah, they're not like the questions that you find in like credit card stuff. Because I see.
What's your social?
Yeah, exactly.
On, it's fun.
What was your first car that you drove, and the name of your high school mascot? There you go. So let's see. One of the good ones is, okay, what is your favorite game?
What's my favorite game?
Yes.
My favorite game tends to be the last scary game that I played, and that was Visage. Ooh. It's been a while. I've had to step away. I've been so heads down in this, right? Because I don't do this full time. This is in my spare time. I haven't had time for anything else, but I can't wait. I'm going to take a little break, and I want to know. This is why I'm listening. Okay, what are you playing now? What are people playing now? Because I want to get back into this. That's going to be my motivation.
Okay, Visage. For those of you guys who don't know what Visage is, how would you describe it? Is it kind of like a PT experience? Is that the
I
best
think
way?
so.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
think so. You still have the walking simulation experience,
Mhm.
some jump scares, a story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really incredible graphics. I mean, like look
Amazing.
wise, it's up there to AAA. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I know that it came out, and it's a great. If you guys, it's Halloween season, so if you're looking for a good horror game as well, on top of Angel's Cove, check out Visage. It's finally released, and you should check that out. It's really good. Nice, nice. Now, what is there a game that you've played that you could probably label as the worst game you've ever played?
Wow. The worst game that I played. I must have blocked it out of my memory. I can't actually think of one.
Yeah.
There was a game that I watched somebody play the other day, and I don't know the name of it, but this guy was a really popular streamer, and he kept trying to like get to this electrical box. And when he would walk through a door, he would die. And some of you probably watched this guy.
Yeah.
He was the most patient streamer I'd ever seen because he just, I'm going to figure this out. That has to be the worst game I've seen in a long time. Uh, but yeah, I don't know about what
All
I've
right, all
played.
right. Now, if there was a game that imagine if there was a game you could look forward to, even if it's not being created right now, but you're like praying that a sequel does occur one day, what would that game be?
Oh, like some fictional game?
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like if there's a current game that's coming out in the future, or if there's a series that you currently love, and you hope that one day there's a sequel to it that you could play.
Um, oh my God, what was the name of the I'm drawing a blank on the name. The one with the painting, and the painting takes shape over time as you're progressing through the game.
Is that Layers of
Yes,
Fear?
Layers of Fear. Thank you. Yeah, Wesley. Thank that. That was, I loved that game, and I would like to see that one. I'd like to see that one on VR. That's what I'd really like to see.
Mhm, mhm. Very nice. Now, if you didn't, let's see, what's another good one I love to ask. Okay, life hack. Um, what is a life hack that you could give people to just make their lives easier? My example is my personal life hack is I shave while I shower. It makes absolutely no sense in my mind why anybody would shave first with all this stuff, do this thing, and then get in a shower and then wash themselves afterwards. You're already in the shower. Women shave in the shower as well. I just take the razor in, I shave in the shower at the same time, and I save myself 5 minutes a day by not having to stand in front of my bathroom with the shaving cream dripping everywhere, trying to do that thing. That's my personal life hack. Is there a life hack that you have that you do that just it makes life easier? It makes things a little more comfortable that other people tend to do that you're like, why are you wasting time doing
I have a whole new appreciation for you, Al.
that?
Shaving, shaving in the shower. I don't do that. I hear you,
Okay.
100% hear you. It's efficient, and I'm all about efficiency. I don't do that one. I may try that. Do I have a life hack? I don't have anything that interesting
Mhm.
that I can think of. Man, if I probably 5 minutes after we hang up, I'll probably have 10 of them. Uh, my life hack, my wife would kill me, is when she's not taking the dog out, I've got a super long leash and I need to get back to my game development. So I stand on the porch, let him take himself for a walk with whatever length I have, and then I'm back. I'm back
Nice,
to work.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep that secret.
Wait, we're not recording this, are we?
Well, I'll edit it out. That's all right. Okay. If you didn't have to ever work for money again, what would you do?
As cliche as it sounds, I'd be doing this.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
I mean, this is my goal. I established an LLC um, May of this year, just kind of crossing my fingers, right? Like I'm not going to get rich from Angels Cove by any means. It's not going to be but could I do something again, and do something during the day that would give me more time and just enough income that I can start shifting the mix of time, more heavily toward game development. It's just too fun, right? I mean, the dream is to do something that you love.
Mhm.
That's this.
Absolutely. Anthony asked, was it difficult for you to set up your business?
It's a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
I will say LegalZoom, and they don't know me, so this isn't, I'm not affiliated with them. That process makes it a lot easier. I will say they can try to they try to upsell you, after you've signed up with them. So get the basics and just do everything else yourself. That makes it easier. But then the follow up stuff in signing up for your state tax, your state licenses, which includes a sales tax license, that kind of thing. But I decided to go through it, like, just in case. Like I'm using, I did buy some assets, right? Didn't spend much money on them, but I got some cheap assets. I bought a service where I got some of the music
Mhm.
for Angels Cove. And the last thing I want to do is run into, some uh, license violation accidentally. And then, so it was important for me to set up an LLC for that reason more than anything else.
For you guys who wonder why should you ever, if you have an LLC, they can sue the company, but they can't sue you personally for your personal assets. So if you have $50 in your company, they can sue the $50, but they can't touch you. Another good reason why you would probably want to do a business license and your own LLC when you start your game development company is if you can, I think legally, if you make more than like $1,000 or $500 a year, that's when you could start deducting things, expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have to buy a video game because you're a video game company for research purposes, that technically kind of falls into a research and expenses kind of area, and your accountant can wiggle that around and help you. And also when it comes to like buying a new computer or hard drives or anything, if you can generate at least a little bit of income selling a game, whether it be through sales, whether it be donations, whether it be through YouTube, commercials, advertising, et cetera, and you can apply that into the revenue stream of that LLC, then you can really have a lot of fun with buying the things you want, using that company as an expense. Like a lot of people use travel and rest. I don't even think you can do much with restaurants anymore, but travel was like the big thing: hotel stays, vacations. A
But if you
work
were
trip.
networking,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I have to
yeah,
go on a work trip to Disneyland.
yeah.
With my family because they're that part of no. But if you guys ever do an LLC, it's usually a pretty good way to protect yourself. Um, I guess the other question I'd love to ask people is if you could go back to when you were 18 and you could tell yourself one bit of advice to do, what would you have done?
Start earlier.
Yeah.
Whatever the question is, the answer is start earlier.
Mhm.
I don't mind telling everybody I'm 56 years old, right? And I just published my first game, started my business, right? In an industry where everybody is a lot younger than that.
Mhm.
And I feel pretty damn good about it, right? I mean, this was a big, bucket list thing for me. Um, but if I had started earlier, knowing that I'm doing this in my spare time, think of how much I would know now versus, when I did start. I
Mhm.
would just be that much more experienced and capable and all that stuff. So don't wait. Life's too short. Don't wait.
Excellent, excellent. Good advice. Anthony asked, what is your daily routine like when it comes to like your work balance on top of the game development, on top of family time, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, we good question. We all are have been working from home for a while. I've actually been working from home for several years. So I go from my work laptop because I'm an IT advisor. It's just conversations, right? Video calls. I go from that station to the station that I saw, the one I'm sitting at now. So what I call my workstation and my nerd station. And so I wrap up work there. I go have dinner with my wife, and then I come right back here just a few feet away, and I do this until roughly 10:30, sometimes later at night. Thankfully, my wife is very understanding about how important this is to me. But then I do pause on the weekends a lot so that we can have our own time. But I'll still do some of this on the weekends too.
Awesome.
So it's a slow burn, but if it's fun, you stick to it, right? You don't take a week off. You might take a day off, 2 days off, but that's kind of the day in the life for me.
Nice, nice. Yeah, so I think we're getting close to the end. So tell me what else what else can we leave people with here?
You're going to hear me say ad nauseum, just keep sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's as cliche as that sounds. It's somebody put a YouTube video out and they said, look, I just try to have Tom, it may have been you, that said, I just try to not to have a zero productive day, a zero production day, right? That to me, that stuck. Was that you, Tom? Anyway, it might have been you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I remembered that. By the way, Tom and I have never met.
Mm-hmm.
So see, your influence is all over the place. That's big. And the other thing is when you're working on that now, this project was pretty big and it had a whole different whole bunch of different areas to look at any given time. If I got burned out in a particular area, I could jump onto another one. That's most likely true with any project that we take on, right? So if you're sick of trying to solve this over here, go solve this one over here, right? But just pick one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line, one of my favorite movies is The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen The Martian, at the end, he talks about, you pick one problem, you solve it, then you move on to the next one. You solve that one, then you move on to the next one. You can't overwhelm yourself. Otherwise you just forget it. And that I tried to internalize that, and that helped me out a lot.
Very cool. Very cool. Good advice, Dale. Good advice. All right, guys. So that's what we're gonna stick a fork in this. This is awesome. Angels Cove. Again, I will copy the link over here. I'm going to check it out this weekend, give it a play. If you guys are interested. Thank you so much, Dale, for being a part of this, CG Cowboy. And yeah, congratulations on releasing the game, and congratulations on having it out. I'm going to definitely try to put a positive review on that, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. This was a blast. I really appreciate you letting me talk about myself for an hour. This is great.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you have a great rest of your weekend. Dale, thank you for being a part of this, and let's go ahead and have a kick-ass weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.